Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Hey, welcome, one and all. Welcome to Student of the Gun Radio, and thank you for joining us today. I truly appreciate it. No, seriously, I do. No, seriously, you're looking at me like I don't appreciate it. I do. Jared's over there. He's not going to open his microphone up yet because he's mowing down on food. He's on the eat multiple times a day, small meals kick.
My microphone is on.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Nom, 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 nom,
nom, nom, nom.
Nom, nom food.
I'm eating this kimchi fried rice, and I believe it was...
What kind of fried rice is it?
Kimchi fried rice.
Kimchi fried rice?
Yeah, it's good.
With salmon? Does it have salmon in it?
Salmon, yeah. Some salmon. No help from Josh Blanchard because he won't give me his freaking kimchi recipe.
Really? Josh Blanchard has a kimchi recipe?
Yeah.
Was he in Korea?
No.
Is he from Korea?
He's part Korean.
Oh, well, there you go. And he won't give it up, huh?
No. He said it's his mom's, and I have to do many important things to get it. The most important thing that I'm going to do is choke him until he tells me. So, Josh, you better hope that I never see you in person.
You remember my Aunt Pat? My Aunt Pat,
yeah.
She was Filipina, and she could cook.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I look forward to family gatherings when we were going to Aunt Pat's house because she could cook. It was good stuff. She made all kinds of different egg rolls and siu-pao, and oh man, it was good stuff. It was good stuff.
You want double meat?
You want double meat? That's right. You want double meat? This is a family-friendly show, and you can't say things like that on the family-friendly show. So just you can say them tomorrow on the grad program hour. But today is Thursday, and the topic for today is Liberty Lessons Part 1, Political Thought of the American Revolution. And many of you out there in the Student of the Gun listening audience know that we've been recommending this book for a long time. And today we're going to dive into it. We did, it was about a month or so ago, right before we had to put a whole bunch of episodes in the can before we went on a road trip up to see our buddy E.J. Owens at Illegally Concealed. So I did an educational series on the art of war. We did 4 different episodes. Isn't that correct, Jared? You nod if that's correct. Yeah, 4. And I took sections out of The Art of War and touched on them. I thought we'd do something very similar with the Political Thought book. But before we do that, let's thank our friends at Duracoat, because life is too short to have an ugly gun. I haven't said that in a while because we've been yakking about the gun tattoo contest, but life is too short to have an ugly gun. Brownells at brownells.com. You got a gun, they got something for you. Even if you don't have a gun, if you're hurricane prepping, they got something for you. Frog Loop, it's green, it's minty fresh, it's extreme. You can get it from your favorite firearms retailer or from Brownells, or I don't care where you get it, just go ahead and get some. And don't forget about SWAT Fuel and the SWAT Fuel store. If you go to the SWAT Fuel store, SWATfuelstore.com, use the promo code SOTG2015. Jared, did you like the headline, the photo of a newspaper headline that Dan sent me?
Oh yeah, the amphibious pitcher.
Amphibious pitcher debuts in the Major League Baseball.
How does that make it into print?
Not just like in the story, but the black, bold, top of the fold headline. That's right. That's a Publica or a Publica product schools. Maybe it's a product of public schools. I don't know. You tell me.
And today is the 19th. If you're listening to this on Thursday, it's the 19th. You've got 2 days.
I figured it out.
What?
That pitcher must have been for the Seattle Mariners.
I don't know who you are.
They have amphibious pitchers, right?
Apparently.
With the Mariners?
Apparently.
All right, tell them about the deadline and the cutoff for Silencer Shop.
Nope, not Silencer Shop. They have 2 days to get to qualify for the Indy 500 tickets.
Oh, that too.
Yep. But there is a deadline for Silencer Shop, and if you have been listening for the past couple weeks, then you'll know that the new Silencer Shop regulation, or silencer, not Silencer Shop regulation, but the 41F is going into effect very soon. But Silencer Shop has your back with the Silencer Shop guarantee, the Powered by Silencer Shop guarantee. So go check it out. You can get more information on the 41F and the Powered by Silencer Shop guarantee at silencershop.com. And I highly recommend that you go check that out before July 6th, because that is the deadline.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Well, all right. Thank you very much, Alex, for reminding everyone that not only do we have Student of the Gun Radio, but we have Student of the Gun TV, and we have the blog, and you can go to studentofthegun.com. And basically, that is your central hub. You say, well, what do these turds do? What are they all about? I don't know. I just discovered them today. Well, I'm glad that you discovered us today. And you can just pop on over to, I almost said silencershop.com. to studentofthegun.com. Yeah, well, you can do either one. I don't care. Pop on over there, and that'll lead you in the correct direction. Because every once in a while, we fall into that trap, don't we, Jared? We think that everyone that's listening knows. If they know what to do, and they know the story, but apparently not everyone does, because we still encounter people. When we meet them live and in person, they say, oh, you guys have a radio show? I thought you just did a thing on like Facebook and stuff. But don't forget this, and according to our friend, who's our friend from Century? Jacob? According
Jacob and Dina.
Yeah, according to Jacob, we have a YouTube channel. And that makes us a big deal.
Oh, wow.
That is, yeah. According to Jacob, we have a YouTube channel, and that does make us a big deal. And in case you guys have not been paying attention, I know you all have mobile devices. You either have an iPhone, or you have a laptop, or you got a tablet. You got something. Heck, Zachary watches YouTube through the Xbox on the flat screen TV. Jared has been very, very diligent here in the last week to two, I guess a couple of weeks, right, Jared? And he's been dumping material like a fiend onto the Student of the Gun YouTube channel, the official Student of the Gun YouTube channel.
And I've still got uploaded and ready for release in the next couple months. I've got 70 videos. So,
and it's actually Student of the Gun TV.
Yes,
it's
youtube.com/Student of the Gun TV.
Student of the Gun TV. Or you can just link to it from the homepage or whatever. But Student of the Gun TV, and Jared has been, how many? I don't know, like a dozen or more. Because you put the old, or not the old, some of the original Morning Mindsets are on there now. So they can watch them via YouTube. Uh-huh. And they can share them with their friends. That's another thing. Don't be greedy, folks. Don't be greedy. You know that there's at least one person in your life that you encounter on a regular basis that is what we will call undereducated. You know who that person is, whether it's a relative or whether it's a work acquaintance or what have you. They seem to be very undereducated when it comes to firearms and liberty-related matters. And so rather than you saying it to them, because they know you and they don't take what you say seriously, because a prophet is never respected in his hometown, but you might want to say to them, look, all right, don't listen to me, listen to this guy. Then they can write us comments about what a jackass I am and how I'm mean and xenophobic. And then that's my latest thing. Are you a xenophobe or are you a xenophobe? That really is the question for the ages, and I don't know if that's ever going to get answered. But let's dive into the meat of today's show, shall we? Can I take a sip of water before I dive into the meat of it? I think I should do that.
Sure, you could take a sip of water. I was just looking to see what videos I put up there, and I forgot that you had the interview with that. But I don't even remember what the name of the company was, but you did an 8-part.
It doesn't matter. I did like a 7-8 part interview.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's out there now, so you guys can go look at it on the YouTube channel.
Okay. And it's just me talking into a microphone. So what you can do is you can open it and then just close the page and listen. How's that sound? All right. The Political Thought of the American Revolution, a part 3 of Seed Time of the Republic by Clinton Rossiter. This book right here that's in my hands. Let me tell you how I got this book. My wife, the lovely Miss Nancy, who is beautiful and gracious, she was poking around at the thrift store. She likes to do that. Every once in a while she loses her mind and she goes to the thrift store, and I don't hear from her for hours. And I call her or text her and I'm like, "Are you alive? What are you?" "No, I'm still in the store." But you've been in the store for 2 hours and 12 minutes. "I know. I'm looking at stuff." "Okay, honey." I'm sure many of you can sympathize. But she came home. You know what? She can shop and poke around at the thrift store as long as she wants, as much as she wants from now on, because she struck gold. And this was years ago. I mean, 5, 6 plus years ago. She came home with a book, a little paperback book that has a yellow and orange cover. And she said, "You know, you like the American Revolution and history and stuff like that. And I saw this. I thought you would like it." She handed it to me. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. But I didn't open it immediately. I set it down. And I don't know, one afternoon, I grabbed a cigar, and I was in the mood to be educated. And I picked it up, and I started reading it. I thought, holy crap. Sweet Buddha on a rubber raft is what I thought. This is good. And then I kept reading, and I read the whole entire book, and I told Jared about it, and I told Nancy what a wonderful woman she was, because she paid somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 cents for it, right? So I started searching on Amazon, and I found them. It's out of print. They're used books. So I bought another one, and I bought one for Jared. Jared has a copy. I have this copy and a spare copy. That's how valuable I think this book is. I'm not bullcrapping with you. This book, the one that I actually have in my hand, has an ink stamp on the front. It says, "Property of the Social Studies Department, Ann Arbor Huron High School, 2727 Fuller Road, Ann Arbor, Michigan, 48105. This book was such a good book that it was used in both high school and college classes to teach students about the origins and the thought process and what the American founding fathers, not just what they did, because everybody knows what they did. We have the evidence. You know, we have the Declaration of Independence, we have the Articles of Confederation, we have the Constitution. We have that as evidence of what they did. But what many people don't understand is why they did what they did. Where did these guys, where did Jefferson and Adams, where Hancock, you name it, Madison, Jay, where did they come up with these ideas? Did they just pull it out of their butt? Was it something that was, at the time in Massachusetts? These were really cool, popular ideas in Massachusetts at the time, so they decided to make it law. No. What were their inspirations? And who besides the normal class of founding fathers, the dead presidents, the ones you see on coins and dollar bills and what have you, who besides them was involved in the process? Many of you know about Patrick Henry. Patrick Henry, after the American Revolution, his career was kind of over. I mean, he didn't get real super involved in any of the political process after that, but he was nonetheless a very valuable character. He served a very great service to this nation. People like Paul Revere. So what was going on, and what did they base this new country there? Because think about it. At the time, in the world, go back with me, travel back with me, if you will, get in the Wayback Machine, and go back to the 1760s and the colonies, the British colonies in the Americas, All right. And all the colonies were separate individual, they were their own states, so to speak. They weren't a united country. Massachusetts and all that, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, the names. At the time, on planet Earth, you had several very powerful monarchies. You had the monarchies in Spain, England, and, of course, France. And they were colonizing the world. In Portugal, you had that. And then, of course, over in Asia, Western Asia, Eastern Asia, you had them doing their thing. But all of the countries in the world were ruled by either some type of a monarch or they had a single ruling class. They had a ruling class and a ruling family, whether it was an oligarchy, what have you. Now, hopefully, you went to high school and you learned about all the different types of governments in the world. You learned about theocracies and oligarchies and monarchies, and you learned about all that, right? Okay. And the fact of the matter was that up till 1760, 70, and so forth, there were very, very few representations of actual democracies. Now, they tried to do that in Greece with the city-states, and it had been tried on a small scale, but what they had found is that a strict democracy on a large scale over a large landmass didn't work very well. Now, to their credit, Great Britain at the time afforded its citizens more latitude and more liberty than most other countries in the world did. They had the Magna Carta, and believe it or not, Jared, the Magna Carta was not what Martin Luther hammered onto the door of the church. That was the 95 Theses, and the Magna Carta came long before that. Jared and Alex both thought that the Magna Carta was what Martin Luther, hammered onto the door of the church. That wasn't it at all. Now, the Magna Carta was one of the first documents, the first official documents that stated that the citizen, the actual citizens, had some rights, that the king and the sitting crown and the government and the ruling class, that they did not have absolute rights over everything that the peasants owned, had, money, and so forth. Now, it didn't give absolute rights, but it set up a basic, an outline for that. And the rights of English citizens were mostly at the time, they weren't codified all in one single document. They were assumed. People just assumed, or it was part of the common law. You've heard of common law. It was assumed as common law that sovereign British citizens of the Crown of Great Britain, which the people in the colonies strongly believed that they were. People were like, oh, they're Americans, they're in America. The British are coming, the British are coming. The people of Boston, New York, New Hampshire, in Pennsylvania, all those, they didn't think of themselves in 1760 as, we're all Americans. No, they thought of themselves as sovereign British citizens who had the same rights as people who lived in Yorkshire or Manchester or London or what have you. And what was happening was that the people far, far away, they viewed the people of the colonies not as the citizens, but more as a subservient peasant class. And a peasant class that was becoming ungrateful. And if we open up the book, I'm going to go ahead, and the very first page after the publication. Now, this book was originally published in 1953. Then it was republished in paperback in 1963. And Clinton Rossiter, he acknowledged a quote from Reverend William Smith, dated 1775, on the first page, even before the preface. And this is what William Smith said, Reverend William Smith. He said, "Look back, therefore, with reverence. Look back to the times of ancient virtue and renown. Look back to the mighty purposes which your fathers had in view when they traversed a vast ocean and planted this land. Recall to your mind their labors, their toils, their perseverance, and let their divine spirit animate you in all your actions. And I'll continue. Look forward also to distant posterity. That would be you guys who are listening to me now. You are the posterity of those who lived in 1775. Figure to yourselves millions and millions to spring from your loins, who may be born free men or slaves, as heaven shall now approve or reject your counsels. Think that on you may depend whether this great country in ages hence shall be filled and adorned with a virtuous and enlightened people, enjoying liberty in all its concomitant blessings, or covered with a race of men more contemptible than the savages that roam the wilderness. That was the great question that Reverend William Smith had for his congregation in 1775 as they were considering whether or not the people of the colonies, soon to be the United States of America, whether or not their children, their future children, their posterity, whether or not they would be a nation of free men or a nation of slaves. Will we have a country, he asked, that shall be filled and adorned with virtuous and enlightened people, enjoying liberty, or covered with a race of men more contemptible than the savages that roam the wilderness? Consider those words today, 200 plus years later. Look across the landscape of the United States of America, east to west, north to south. And I want you to ask yourself this. Is this nation filled and adorned with virtuous people, enlightened and enjoying liberty and all of its blessings? Or is this nation covered with a race of men more contemptible than savages? I'm not going to answer that question for you. You're an intelligent human being. Answer it for yourself. And how crazy is it to you that 240 years ago that Reverend William Smith was wondering whether or not that was going to be the case? It kind of gives me chills. It gives me chills thinking that they knew. These men were not idiots. These men were not fools. They were not barbarians. They weren't populists. They weren't just grasping and looking for what was going to be cool or neat or was going to get them the quick buck for today. They not only saw for today and tomorrow, these men, the men that formed the nation of the United States of America, they were looking forward hundreds of years. They didn't just want an outline that would set us up for the next decade. They wanted an outline that would set us up for the entire history of our nation. Now, when Clinton Rossiter, he goes in and he dives into many of the writings, the letters, the books, the sources that our founding fathers used. And and the great thing about, I know, Jared, I know, and everyone else listening, I understand that you can highlight Kindle books. And I even did it. Now, you can't do this. It's different between Apple and Android, isn't it? Yeah, he's nodding his head. He said, because when I got the rice and salt book and I read it on Kindle, he said, oh, just take this and do this and do this. And I said, I can't do that. And he goes, I can do it on my phone. I can't do it on my phone. But I know that you can highlight that. But the thing that I like most about the Dead Tree version is that I highlight them and I take my pen or pencil and I write notes in the margin. Every single book that I publish, that I write, I want you, if you buy one of my books and you never highlight it and you never write anything in it, then you obviously didn't get the point. I want you to sit down, when you sit down a book, maybe not necessarily a fiction novel, but an educational book, a nonfiction book, I want you to start sitting down with that book with a highlighter and a pencil or a pen, something. Take notes for yourself. I know, you're like, well, this crazy dude on this Student of the Gun show, I tuned in and he's like all talking about liberty and freedom and history of the United States. I want to talk about guns. You know what? You can go to lots of places and talk about gadgets and toys. Jared, is your microphone on?
Yeah.
If you are a student of the gun, what is a firearm?
An instrument of liberty.
It is an instrument of liberty.
Indeed. And most of you guys know that. If you're new here, welcome.
Welcome. You know that. Did you see the messages people want Twin Unicorns to do instrument of liberty shirts?
Oh, no.
I can't believe they haven't already.
Yeah.
So I know you're listening.
Maybe that'll be our next.
I know you Twin Unicorn people are listening.
Our grad program only product.
People want an instrument of liberty. No evil. What does your shirt say? No evil included. It's a picture of an AK and it says inanimate object.
Evil not included.
Evil not included. Well, I paid the extra $50 for the evil. I don't know where it is. Clinton Rosser begins his book. The political principles of the revolution were so unsophisticated in expression and inclusive in appeal as to seem to a declaration of faith rather than a body of theory. Let's dive into that real quick. And so he says that they were simply a declaration of faith rather than a body of theory. Well, what is the difference between faith and theory? Faith is an expression of, and you can't use faith, but of trust in something that you already know. You have faith in that thing. Now, theory is just that. A theory is something that you're testing out, you're trying out. I believe that this will probably work. That's my theory, but I don't know, and we won't know until we try it. How many times have people say, well, my theory is that, and you say, well, that's nice, but we haven't tested it yet. And what Rosser is saying is, at the time, the principles of the revolution, the American Revolution, they were so unsophisticated in expression and inclusive. The people that were declaring them, they didn't think, all right, this is some weird, crazy foreign idea. They didn't believe that the citizens having the right to life, liberty, and property, that was some kind of wild, crazy idea. As a matter of fact, they thought that it was the norm. And it was the norm to them, to British citizens. The problem that they had was that they felt they were not being given or afforded the rights that they were deserved. That those rights were available to all British citizens, and for some reason, time had ticked by, and they were not receiving those rights. Those rights were being taken away from them. That is why they were so angry. And he goes on to say, the natural leaders of all groups and classes joined in political argument and, to a greater or lesser degree, and in the common American practice of recurring to first principles. What are the first principles, the founding principles? We, the people of the United States of America, hold these truths to be self-evident, that kind of stuff. The founding principles. And he goes on to say, a tavern keeper, a cartman, the village wit stood as ready to declaim on internal taxation as the social compacts as did John Adams or James Otis. It wasn't like the people of the time. And you know what he just said, Jared, in that paragraph? He just said that even the tavern keeper, the cartman, and the village wit understood and knew about politics. How many times have we heard people say, I don't like politics, I don't talk about politics? What Rossiter is saying here is that the average dude in 1775, the average dude on the street, the tavern keeper, the cartman, the guy working down on the wharf, the guy working out in the field, whatever, they knew politics. They were just as ready and eager to talk about the principles of liberty as were lawyers and attorneys like Adams and Otis. Think about the difference there between then and today. People understood that they had the duty to know. I know, it's crazy, right? And now in here, in the book, one of the things that he points out, and I want to talk to you about this a little bit because I know everybody in my audience is not a practicing Christian. A lot of you are agnostics, and a lot of you are, a lot of you are Hebrew, and some of you may even consider yourself to be atheists or non-religious or whatever. Folks, you cannot divide the founding of the United States of America. You can't take it away from the fact that it was founded by Judeo-Christian leaders, people who had a solid foundation in those principles. You can try. There was a nation that was founded in direct contradiction to religion. It was called the Soviet Union. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. That was formed in direct contradiction outside of any type of organized religion. Now, I know that many of you went to public school in the last 20 years or so, but the Soviet Union, those were the bad guys. I know, you're like, what? I don't remember hearing that they were the bad guys. Those were the people that had fences around their countries with machine gun towers, not to keep the Americans from sneaking in, but to make sure that their people didn't escape. Do you understand that nations that were founded by men in direct contradiction to the church and to religion, as a matter of fact, who outlawed it, those nations built giant barbed wire fences and minefields around their countries to keep their people from escaping. We don't build fences around the United States to keep American citizens from escaping to Mexico. Okay? People would get shot trying to escape from East Berlin, East Germany. Jared, do you know that? Were you ever taught in school that people who tried to flee communist countries were killed?
I don't think we learned that specifically, but they touched a little bit on East and West Germany, but they didn't go much in depth.
Oh, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia. Yeah, it was Czechoslovakia then. Don't write me letters saying it's wrong. Those nations, you couldn't just leave. You're like, I don't want to come here. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go live in France. No. If you try and leave, we will kill you. And that is what happens when you found a nation, when your government is founded on the whims and wills of man. When you decide that the government is there to provide everything. Let me clue you guys in. The government has no morality. The state has no morality. Jared, I think that this is a good time to address that topic, if you'll allow me. I'm going to use the rest of the time that I have available. Well, you know what? I'm going to put a pin in that.
We've still got a homeroom.
Yeah, I'm going to put a pin in that. Well, I want to say this to you. When you see news stories that make you angry, upset, depressed, disappointed, what have you, about what's going on in the United States of America or in Europe or wherever in the world, I want you to think about this. The state has no morality. Think about that. All right, Jared, go ahead and let's do the homeroom. I'm kind of looking forward to doing the homeroom today.
What you gonna do when it all comes back to the place that you never wanted it to come back to? And where you gonna roll when the bottom drops out and you got no place to go? Who you gonna trust when trust is a must? You better roll with the rest of us. So pack your bags and all the faith you can, cause it's about ready to hit the fan. Come to the ready. It's 2012, all about the re-election of an antichrist. Come to the ready. You don't believe me, just deep into the soul of the lion.
How crazy is it that Madison Rising wants us to pack our bags and all the faith we can, because it's about ready to hit the fan?
Interesting.
Pack your bags and all the faith you can. All right. Actually, today we want to talk about packing a bag. It's summertime. Yay! Now, it may not officially be summer according to the calendar, but as you're listening to this, the mercury has risen, especially in the south, And you are going to spend, like most human beings, like most Americans, probably a great deal of time this summer in lightweight casual clothes. I am. I know you are. You're going to go to the beach. You're going to go hiking. You're going to wear shorts and flip-flops. You're going to wear T-shirts, tank tops, all that jazz, right? Because it's hot and that's what we do. But are you still going to be an armed citizen? Are you going to be prepared to be an armed citizen? You're like, that therein the problem lies. So you have, let's say, swim trunks and a tank top and flip-flops. It's kind of hard to hide 2 guns, a knife, a pocket lifesaver, a flashlight. It's kind of hard to carry all that stuff that you know you should be carrying. You probably do carry on a normal basis if you're fully clothed and fully dressed. But how do you do that? Well, we've got a product that I think is a really good happy medium. It's a good kind of sort of solution to that. And we've talked about it before. We talked about an all bag, a go bag, or whatever. And Tough Products makes a bag that's called the Tough Products Active Shooter Bag. Now, when I see active shooter, I'm thinking the American shooter who lives an active life. How about that, Jared? Do you like that?
Yeah.
I like to think I'm an active shooter. I know that you're thinking, I'm not sure if that's what they mean. Well, this is a single strap shoulder bag. And it's a single strap shoulder bag that you can just put the stuff, you know, all that stuff that I told you that you should have available to you, but you're probably not going to be able to carry in a swimsuit or your real lightweight shorts and what have you. If you find yourself dressed in such a manner that you can't carry the stuff that you think you should be carrying or you need, well, this is one of those solutions. We put the link in the show notes for you, but it's called the Tough, T-U-F-F Products Active Shooter Bag. Are you ready for the summer? Yes or no? So all the stuff that you think you should have, stuff it in the bag. And if you're a dude, and you're like, it's kind of like a satchel. Indiana Jones carried one, right? So it's okay for you to do it. They're relatively lightweight. They have a great big shoulder strap with a buckle on it. They have, I think it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pockets. It has like 2 bulk pockets that are zippered. And then it has magazine pouches up front. But you don't have to put magazines in those, dude. You can put a pocket lifesaver in it, put tourniquet in it, put a flashlight in it. I don't care. Put whatever you want in it. Put your pepper spray, put your phone. I don't care. You got to have someplace to put your phone, right? You know you're going to take your phone with you. So check that out. Go to toughproducts.com and find their active shooter bag. And that might be your solution to what are you going to do in the summertime when you're hardly dressed, right? Now, obviously, you're an intelligent human and you're not going to fill a bag full of super cool guy stuff and then just leave it around where you can't control it. No, we would not recommend that you do that. But the fact of the matter is, I would rather you had a bag with your medical gear and a flashlight and a knife and what have you. Even if you're going to stow the gun on you somewhere, are you going to be able to carry all the other stuff? And I want you to be ready. I want you to be safe. And I want you to have all the stuff that you need to have for the summer. All right, kids, that is it. That is the last, this is the last show for this week. It's Thursday. And for all of you, well, just regular listeners, we'll be back on Monday. But for you grad program hippies out there, if you're in the grad program, we'll be back tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to talk about resistance. Do you have the right to say no? Well, we're going to dive pretty deep into that. And we're going to find out. And Jared, let's say that somebody's listening right now and they're like, what is this grad program thing all about and how can I do it? How can they do it?
Well, you can go to studentofthegunradio.com, click on the Become a Member tab, and that will give you an opportunity to see what you get. And then you can also sign up there. You can join us for $1, 30-day trial for $1. And then if you decide to stay with us, it's going to be 50 cents a day after that. Literally.
Yeah,
50 cents a day.
I think Lauren did the math, and she said that...
That was for the yearly. If you pay for
you pay for the yearly, it's 44 cents.
If you pay for a whole year in advance, it's less money.
44 cents a day. Like a quarter of what you pay for coffee.
Yeah.
If you go to Starbucks and buy a coffee every day, you're paying 5 times more than it would cost you to be a grad program member.
Yep.
It's crazy.
I know.
All right.
You take that cup of coffee, and you give up one cup of coffee every 2 weeks, and you'll pay for your membership.
There you go.
Or 1 cup every week.
Yeah, give up 1 cup per week, and it pays for your grad program membership. Bingo. Bam.